Before you make another minimum payment, before you ignore another bill, before you think debt will solve itself, I need you to hear 3 stories. Mine from 1985 when credit cards nearly destroyed me, Marcus's from 2015 when his mortgage almost cost him everything, and Zoe's from right now as student loans threaten her future. Because what all 3 of us learned about escaping debt hell, that's going to save your financial life. And here's the twist that's going to give you hope even if you're drowning in debt right now. The moment when each of us realized that our biggest financial mistake was actually setting us up for our biggest financial breakthrough. See, we think debt is about money. We think it's about numbers on a statement, interest rates, and payment schedules. But what I learned in 1985, what Marcus learned in 2015, and what Zoe's learning right now is that debt isn't really about money. It's about freedom, dignity, and the courage to face the truth about what you really need versus what you think you want. Let me take you all back to Cleveland, 1985. I'm 28 years old, chasing a comedy dream that everybody thinks is stupid, including me on most days. But I got this image to maintain, this perception that I'm making it, that I'm successful. So I get my first credit card, Visa, $500 limit. For emergencies, I tell myself. But then I see this leather jacket that makes me look like a real comedian. $400. This is an investment in my career, I rationalize. Then I get a MasterCard, $1,000 limit. Discover card, $750 limit. American Express, $2,000 limit. Before I know it, I got more plastic in my wallet than a toy store. I'm using credit cards to pay for everything. Gas, groceries, comedy club cover charges, drinks after shows, clothes that make me look successful. Every swipe, I'm telling myself, when I make it big, I'll pay all this off. But here's what I didn't understand. I wasn't building a career. I was building a house of cards. Every month, the minimum payments got bigger. Every statement showed my balances growing instead of shrinking. By 1985, I owed $47,000 spread across 8 different credit cards. $47,000 that I spent trying to look like I had money while slowly drowning in debt. The worst part, I'm lying awake at 3 a.m. every night, calculator in hand, trying to figure out how to juggle payments, moving money from one card to pay another, taking cash advances to make minimum payments, playing a shell game with my own financial destruction. I remember the night it all came crashing down. I'm at the kitchen table at 2:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I was staring at the clock, wondering if this nightmare would ever end. I got 8 credit card statements spread out in front of me, and no matter how I calculate it, I can't make the math work. That's when I whispered the prayer that would change everything. God, I don't know how I got here, but I need you to show me how to get out. Now let me tell you about Marcus Thompson from Phoenix. I met him at a men's conference in 2018, 3 years after he lost everything. His story is different from mine, but the pain, identical. Marcus was 34 in 2015, married to his high school sweetheart, Jennifer, 2 kids, little Sarah, 8, and Marcus Jr., 6. He'd been working construction for 12 years, making good money, living the American dream. Mr. Harvey, Marcus tells me, I was that guy who believed if you worked hard and played by the rules, everything would work out. In 2006, Marcus and Jennifer bought their dream house, 2,400 square feet in a nice Phoenix suburb, backyard with a pool, good schools for the kids. Purchase price, $340,000. They put down $20,000 they'd saved for 5 years. The mortgage broker told us we qualified for way more house than we were buying, Marcus says. He made us feel conservative, smart, responsible. But here's what Marcus didn't see coming. The housing market crash of 2008, that $340,000 house, by 2010, it was worth $180,000. Marcus owed more on his mortgage than his house was worth by $160,000. Then in 2014, the construction industry hit another downturn. Marcus went from full-time work to part-time to unemployed in 6 months. The mortgage payment that seemed manageable at $2,400 a month became impossible when unemployment only covered $1,200 a month. Marcus tried everything: loan modification requests, short sale attempts, borrowing from family, Jennifer working double shifts as a nurse, but the math was brutal, and the banks weren't interested in working with families who were drowning. Mr. Harvey, Marcus says, I'll never forget the night I realized we were going to lose our home. I was sitting at that same kitchen table where we used to help the kids with homework, and I had foreclosure papers spread out in front of me. It was 2:47 a.m., the exact same time I was calculating credit card payments 30 years earlier. I was staring at those papers, wondering how I was going to tell my kids that daddy couldn't keep them safe in their own home. And I whispered the same prayer: God, I don't know how I got here, but I need you to show me how to get out. Marcus lost the house in 2015. The family moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. The kids changed schools, and Marcus fell into a depression that lasted 2 years. Now let me tell you about Zoe Chen from Seattle. I met her last month at a university speaking event, and her story is happening right now in real time. Zoe is 24 years old, graduated from University of Washington in 2022 with a degree in communications. Smart girl, worked hard, did everything she was supposed to do. But here's her reality. She owes $180,000 in student loans for a degree that got her a job paying $35,000 a year. Mr. Harvey, Zoe tells me, I was the first person in my family to go to college. My parents immigrated from Taiwan with nothing, worked multiple jobs to give me opportunities they never had. Zoe's freshman year, 2018, tuition was $12,000. By senior year, it was $18,000. Plus room and board, books, living expenses. She took out federal loans, private loans, even convinced her parents to take out Parent Plus loans they couldn't afford. Everyone told me college was an investment in my future, Zoe says. They said the debt would be worth it because I'd get a good job and pay it off quickly. But here's Zoe's reality in 2024. Her minimum student loan payment is $1,847 a month. Her take-home pay after taxes, $2,100. That leaves her $253 for rent, food, transportation, and everything else. I'm living with 3 roommates in a house that should have 2 people, Zoe says. I eat ramen noodles for dinner most nights. I haven't bought new clothes in 2 years. I can't afford to date, can't afford to have a social life, can't afford to think about my future. The worst part, the $180,000 is growing, not shrinking. Between interest rates and income-based repayment plans that don't even cover the interest, Zoe owes more money today than when she graduated. Last week, I was sitting at my kitchen table at 2:47 a.m. Zoe tells me, I had my student loan statements spread out in front of me, trying to figure out if I'd ever be free. And I found myself whispering, God, I don't know how I got here, but I need you to show me how to get out. Now, let me tell you what I told both Marcus and Zoe, because this is the lesson that took me 20 years to learn. See, what all 3 of us figured out is that debt isn't really about the money. It's about the story you tell yourself about what you deserve, what you need, and what success looks like. In 1985, I used credit cards because I believed I needed to look successful to become successful. Marcus bought a house because he believed home ownership was the American dream. Zoe took out student loans because she believed education was the path to financial freedom. All 3 of us were sold a version of success that required us to go into debt to achieve it. And all 3 of us learned the hard way that debt doesn't buy success. It rents it with interest that compounds daily. But here's what we also learned. The same desperation that drove us into debt became the motivation that got us out. The same financial pressure that almost destroyed us became the foundation for building something stronger. When you're drowning in debt, you stop caring about impressing other people and start focusing on impressing yourself. You stop buying things you don't need and start appreciating what you have. You stop living for tomorrow and start managing today. Y'all want to know what happened to all 3 of us? My breakthrough came 6 months after that 3 a.m. prayer. I got tired of being scared every time the phone rang. I gathered all my credit card statements, made a list of every debt, and created what I called my debt hit list. Smallest to largest. I stopped trying to look successful and started being honest about my situation. I moved to a smaller apartment, sold everything I didn't absolutely need, took a part-time job at Sears during the day while doing comedy at night. Most importantly, I stopped using credit cards completely. If I couldn't pay cash, I didn't buy it. Period. It took me 3 years to pay off $47,000, but I did it. And the discipline I learned getting out of debt became the foundation for every financial success I've had since. Marcus's breakthrough came 2 years after losing his house. Instead of trying to buy another house immediately, he and Jennifer rented that little apartment and focused on rebuilding their foundation. Marcus started his own construction company with $500 and a used truck. Instead of taking on debt to grow fast, he grew slow and steady, reinvesting profits, building cash reserves. 5 years later, Marcus owns a construction company worth $2 million, employs 12 people, and just bought a house with cash. No mortgage, no debt, complete ownership. And Zoe, 3 months after our conversation, she made a decision that shocked her family. She moved back in with her parents, took a side job driving for Uber, and started attacking her student loans with everything she had. Instead of making minimum payments, she's paying $2,500 a month. She calculated that she'll be debt-free in 6 years instead of 30. More importantly, she started a social media consulting business that's already bringing in $1,000 a month. Zoe realized that her communications degree wasn't worthless. She just needed to use it differently than she'd been taught. So here's your homework, and this works whether you owe $5,000 or $500,000. First, stop lying to yourself about your debt situation. Gather every statement, add up every balance, face the total number. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge. Second, cut up your credit cards. Not close the accounts, cut up the physical cards. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it, period. This is temporary pain for permanent gain. Third, create your debt hit list. List every debt from smallest to largest balance. Pay minimums on everything, but attack the smallest debt with every extra dollar you can find. Fourth, increase your income or decrease your expenses, preferably both. Sell things you don't need, take a second job, start a side business, move to a cheaper place. Temporary sacrifice for permanent freedom. Fifth, celebrate small wins. When you pay off that first debt, celebrate. When you pay off the second, celebrate bigger. You're not just eliminating debt, you're building the discipline that creates wealth. Remember what all three of us learned. Your debt doesn't define your worth, but your response to debt defines your character. The same pressure that's crushing you right now can become the foundation that elevates you later. The same financial fear that's keeping you awake can become the motivation that sets you free. Marcus went from foreclosure to millionaire in 5 years. I went from $47,000 in credit card debt to financial freedom in 3 years. Zoe's on track to be debt-free and business owner in 6 years. Your debt story doesn't have to be your permanent story. It can be the chapter that sets up your comeback. So stop making minimum payments on your life and start making maximum effort toward your freedom. Because debt isn't just about money, it's about choice, dignity, and the courage to live below your means so you can eventually live above your circumstances. Your breakthrough is coming. But first, you gotta stop running from your breakdown and start running toward your freedom. The math is simple, the execution is hard, but the freedom, that's priceless. Y'all remember that. Debt is temporary, but the discipline you build getting out of it, that's permanent.